or typically you tag like the brand. So I've seen it with like H&M, I've seen it with Target. There's probably I don't know, there's a lot others. There's some makeup brands that do it too. I don't think Sephora has done it, or that I've seen. The one I'm going to show you is a yeah, I don't know the brand. Dang, what's that brand? The one, sorry, let me see if the DM is still up. Oh, NYX Cosmetics. That's when they did it. But what they do is like you tag them, somebody sees it, that's on their social media team, and then they want they like the photo, or maybe, I don't know if they just do this for everyone, but I don't think, from what I've seen in like the influencer communities, it doesn't seem like everybody gets that. It seems like a lot of influencers at least get it once, but it doesn't seem like everybody gets it. But they'll send a comment of like, hey, we love your photo, or thanks for using our product, or something like that. Like, we would love to be able to use this photo. Let me know if you've got one of these before. Put a little into the chat room if you've got one of these before. But we love your photo. We want to be able to use it, or we'd love to like the opportunity to potentially use it on our website or things like that. If you agree to this, like type I agree, DM us I agree, like yes I agree, yes you can, hashtag something like, or whatever. So I see those a lot. And it's funny because like I think I've done a video on this before, and I'll like send it to a couple people who were like, it was hard to do because some people get really excited when they get those comments, and maybe you're one of those people who gets those comments. You're like, it's so exciting for this opportunity for this brand to like reach out to me. Like, I mean, come on, Target. Like, I'm not hating here. I know it's cool. Like when these like huge brands come to you, like H&M, like come on, that like your photo or or interested in you, and like so you get really excited and you're like, yes I agree, and you just immediately accept it. And like a lot of I've seen more people say they've never seen their picture used before, but I've seen a lot of people who actually like got to use it in their like on a website, and they yeah, usually with some people have gone website, and some people it's just like Instagram. They've seen them use it before too. So they're really excited for this opportunity. Love Fresh Paint said yes. Love Fresh Paint stopped agreeing to these. The terms of use are usually insane. You're just giving it all away. Exactly. That's what we're going to get into. Just literally giving it all away here. Or there. So yeah, so thank you for confirming. Somebody has seen this before. It is a thing. I know with Theo's account, Theo is my dog. He is a golden doodle. He is 85 pounds, very large. He gets a lot of attention. Literally, I'll be walking, not even anybody. It has happened to my sisters, like friends. They're walking Theo. People will stop in the middle of the road and ask, what kind of dog is that? Like, it's like, you're on the whole entire road. They're like yelling, like, what kind of dog is that? Because he's just like, he's very huge and cute or whatever. But for Theo, when I did his account, I would get that too. And so that's why I was like, let me look at this agreement. And I looked at it for him and I was like, this is dumb. And I tried to negotiate it and they were like, no. Actually, they did end up agreeing. They didn't end up using his stuff, but they did agree. And I was like, okay, look at me negotiating for my dog. And that was when, like, that was very early on when I realized, like, I did not know that there was, like, influencing and making money was a thing. So I was very new. I was like, what is this? And I negotiated a little bit, and they actually agreed to it. But typically they don't agree. So typically they don't negotiate with it. I don't know. It might be just different in, like, the dog pet world or whatever. So yeah. So it's usually, they usually provide a link in there, and obviously for Instagram you cannot click on that link. So you have to take the time to copy and paste it and see what exactly you're agreeing to. And I know a lot of influencers out there who are like, they get so excited and they're just like, yes, I agree, but you have to pause, because whenever you're, like I said, you're a business now. I don't care if you haven't made any money, you're a business now. And so you need to make sure the decisions that you're making is like, is good for your business and for like the work that you're creating. And so I know it's usually like larger brands that do this. And so you're like, it's good because you want to be able to say like, oh, especially if they use it, like, well, two things. You want to be able to use it on your media kit and say, I've worked with this brand, or this brand has like featured me or something like that. I think feature is a thing to say maybe on a media kit. I'm not a media kit person, so don't ask me about what to put on your media kit other than like maybe rates. That's what people ask me about, but I don't know how to design a media kit. So typically people want to put that on their media kit, so that's why they get super excited. And then another reason is that like the potential of like being, you know, on not Instagram's page, but like the brand's page, and like, you know, the you know, potential followers and stuff that you can get from that. So people do that often, but like also, so that's like the pro list. Okay, but there's that con list, and you need to make sure to look into your con list as well. It's not like, oh, these are all the pros, and it's like there's nothing like bad about it, because like these agreements are atrocious. So let me see if I can do it. Okay, I'm gonna show it on the screen. Bear with me, because I'm doing this. Hopefully you can see it. If not, I mean, I'm gonna be reading. I don't have my glasses on. I clearly don't care about blue light, and I also just can't see generally, so clearly. Okay, so let me show it on the browser. Okay, so sorry if you can't see it very well. I'm going to like still read it. Let me actually see. Sorry, let me pull up. Okay, I can't actually do both. So this is like what it, like if you copy, so I just took one of the links. An influencer sent this to me like kind of back in the day, and they're like, you know, this is what I get, like what do you think of this and your thoughts? And so I kind of, you know, did like a little video explaining it, and I'm doing it live now. Oh, Love Fresh Paint said, oh, so Target has used one of Love Fresh Paint's content as a sponsored post on Pinterest and in an email campaign, and oh my gosh, both and sponsored posts got nothing. This is before, but like Love Fresh Paint, I said sponsored post. Love Fresh Paint is wise now. That's crazy. A sponsored post on Pinterest and an email campaign. Like, I'm so sorry. They really clearly Target likes your content. So if Target is not on your wish list, make sure you reach out to them and you let them know. Use my content before, and clearly you liked it. So we're coming for my coins now. Oh, is it buffering? Let me know if it's buffering for you all. Look at my drop frames. My drop frames are okay. Wave Bossa said this might be buffering a little bit, so let me know if you're struggling. I know Love Fresh Paint. No buffering issues from, oh, it's your internet. It's your internet. Sorry. So yeah, hopefully get that fixed. Let me know if it starts buffering or anything for anyone today, because Lord, sometimes it's really like, it's usually at night though, but my internet like will just randomly go down. I'm like, I pay all this money for this internet, so let me know. And Love Fresh Paint said it was exciting, exciting at first, but yeah, they really do. That's why I'm touching on this topic, because they're taking advantage of people. And yes, Wave Bossa is about to call Spectrum, because I know Spectrum is expensive. So get your money. I hope you're not using, you didn't purchase the highest internet like product or whatever. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so exactly. Love Fresh Paint has had this experience happen to her before. So learn from her mistakes. You're gonna get that. If you haven't gotten it now, you're gonna get it once you start like tagging brands and like, you know, working on your content. You're gonna get it. So this is typically what it said. Like they do vary. I've seen like a variation, but they're like all pretty much the same when it comes to these brands are asking to use your content and they're giving you nothing. Like for me, it's funny because I'm like, is this actually an agreement? Like that's what the question I really have. Like, is this like, of course, nobody is like, well, not nobody, but like in order for the brand and for you to know if this agreement is like a legally binding, you have to go to court, and like then you'll have a judge speak on it. Nobody wants to spend that money to go to court. Like it's just like against NYX or like Target. You're not going to court. Like you can, and if you do, good for you. But you're like, that's just so expensive to actually figure out if this is like a legally binding document. Because I look at this and I'm like, this makes no sense, and we'll get into that in a second. But what was I going to say on that topic? Yeah. So whenever you get this message, so you click on, so you go to the link, copy and paste it or whatever, remember what it is, go on the link, and then they say, and oh, I wanted to touch on this because yesterday, if you missed it, the streams are, for you, those of you who are new to Twitch, the streams are saved, they're recorded. So like if you come back to my, like once I'm offline, once I'm finished with this, if you come back, they are saved in like the videos, like, it's like in a little bio area. It says like videos, and there it'll be on there. It just may take a couple minutes after the stream is finished, but it will be on there. So if you see yesterday's, we did talk a little bit about like kind of protecting your photos, like copyright infringements when people are using your content. Like what exactly, like do you have any rights or things like that? And I'm going to read the Instagram's agreement, because that can also speak to like the rights that you have, the rights that other people have to use your content. I'm very honest, I didn't read that agreement. They don't so I know that other people have. Love Fresh Paint told me that she has read it, and so I just want to make sure there's no license in there for other people to use it. I don't think that's the case, but I don't want to like kind of tell you anything wrong. So I just want to take a look at that to just make sure. But this is something that they do, because, and this is also why I have a strong feeling that there's no license in there for them to use it, because then they wouldn't have these random comments that they send in, because they're trying to protect themselves. They want to be able to use the photo, and so they want to make sure they have the rights to it. So this is why they put this agreement into play, instead of they could technically ask you hey, can we use your photo? And you say yes, and then if a situation came up, they could use that as evidence, but they're trying to cover, they're trying to cover themselves, and so cover their butts. And so this is why they have something like this. The Olympic terms of service, I'm guessing Olympic owns NYX. So that's, don't let that name confuse you. A lot of times we only know the actual name of the brand we're used to, but then there's a bigger brand that actually owns it. So here it says, by responding with yes NYX, hashtag yes NYX, you agree to the following. So when you put in your comment yes NYX, whatever they told you, and you didn't look at this, you just signed an agreement. You just signed an agreement. Is it a true signature? I don't know. That's a question for the court to answer. But yeah, it's, if you say yes NYX, it's that's not in your favor, that you at least say yes to that. Yes, you did actually sign the document, but they at least have something in their favor. So you agree to grant NYX Professional Makeup and its parents. So this is it's just the first sentence, and I'm already trying to go in. Hopefully I don't take all day. I'm about to be a professor in here. I'll try to just get to the bigger issues, but you're not just agreeing to NYX. You're agreeing to its a parent. I don't know who NYX's parents is. Olympic may be one of those parents. I know, and Fresh Paint is here we go. We're about to do this. Yes. It's just already in the first sentence. I'm oh my God, this is such a horrible document. So you agree to grant NYX Professional Makeup and its parent, whoever that is, related entities. What does that even mean? Related entities? That's so broad. What do you mean by related entities? And service providers? So there's no list. You don't even know who you just granted this to. Because I know I don't know who you granted this to. Permission, and then it goes into the license. So I just wanted to take a minute for that, because it's already broad, because this is not just with, NYX or that one brand you're talking to. So the reason I say that is because you may see other brands using your content, or you may see other companies using your content and stuff like that, and they may be owned by the same parent company, and you don't even know that. So you're you see that and you're they're using my content and things and stuff, and you don't even know that you agreed to this. They have this license. So that's why it can be, you don't necessarily, if you're upset about somebody using your content, you may want to check the things you've agreed to, because you may have actually given them the rights, and that'd be really awkward to take somebody to court and they're here you go. So a worldwide, I will say worldwide is pretty typical in agreements. Well, I mean, it's weird here because you're not getting paid, but in a license agreement, it's worldwide. It's typical because also the internet, and it's pretty worldwide. I do have contracts that are limited to the country, US, and then but it's not a breach of the contract to if it's used, if people from other countries access it from if it's used on the internet, because that's fine. But worldwide, may not be a problem to you, because internet, and they're using it online. So if this was an actually negotiated document, I would not necessarily be too into the worldwide thing. Royalty free means they're not paying you anything. That's one of the words they're not paying you into. You'll see royalty fee in a lot of agreements, but that doesn't, like, there's a fee usually underneath here. Surprise, there's no fee. So royalty free, non-exclusive, that's the only word in there that's probably favorable to you. That it's non-exclusive, okay? That means you can use it. That means you're allowed to let other people use it. That is fine. So non-exclusive is probably the only, like, circle that for yourself. Like, yes, this is like off the checklist of things you want to see. Non-exclusive is one of those words, so that's great. And then transferable, that's another problem. Because transferable means this company has the right to transfer it to anyone. So you gave your right to NYX and its parents and related entities, but they also now have the right to transfer that permission, that right to somebody else, to another brand. So you just, like, once you say yes to this, you just don't know who can use it. Like why, you know, typically, like, why would they transfer the right? It usually comes when there's, like, you know, like a paid, not a paid deal, when, like, somebody's buying them and they're selling or something like that, then they're, like, going to transfer, like, these rights and stuff. But that's your photo. That's your photo going somewhere else. So I'm sorry, Love Fresh Paint. It might not be the last time you see Target using your picture. Stop taking good pictures. I'm just kidding. But that's, I mean, at least, nah, you can, you know, it is what it is. Like, let it go. It's done. What's done is done. So they use your videos, your photos. I wonder if this might be why I like this example, because this might be one of the really bad ones, but they're pretty much the same. But this one might just have been, like, usually there's, like, some changes in there, and I'm like, this is, like, I didn't even know you can make this worse. But anyways, so they use your videos, your photos, and or other content posted online. And then examples they give: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or other platform. In addition to those, you have tagged with NYX or NYX Cosmetics campaign hashtag together with your social media handle, social media username, profile picture, blah, 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 blah. So this sounds pretty broad, because it sounds like, when I'm reading it, that if, in addition to this picture that they asked you to use, if there's any other thing you've tagged NYX or NYX Cosmetics, like, you can also, like, with their hashtag, like, they can use that too. Let me read it again. In addition to those you've tagged NYX or NYX Cosmetics hashtag together with your social media handle, social media username, profile picture, caption, other information, including the content, any media, including but not limited to. Yeah, like, it's like, if you use NYX, like, what if there's some other things in there where you didn't necessarily want them to use, but you want to still, like, tag NYX or NYX Cosmetics in your little hashtags? Take it off. Don't use it. If you've agreed to this, don't use that hashtag ever again. Just throw it away. Okay? So yeah, like, that's pretty freaking broad. So it's not only for this picture, but it's for other pictures as well, potentially. Use your content in any media, so they can use it on any media, including but not limited to. So they list media on here, but it's also, like, even broader than that. So web pages, social media pages, and other digital media, newsletters, that's print. We talked about, maybe it was yesterday, we talked about, like, print is not the same thing. I don't know if we talked about it yesterday, but print is not the same thing as, like, digital and social media. So retailer sites, like, I imagine walking into a store and being like, is that my picture? Like, is that mine? Retail, third-party sites. Again, another permission there from a third party, and it's not even capitalized. Capitalized usually means it's a defined term. So, like, what's a defined term in here? If you see, like, NYX Professional Makeup collectively, like, anytime they say that, they're talking about the parents to related entities and service providers. So that's what NYX Professional Makeup means. That's a defined term. So that, at least, I mean, it's so broad, but at least you know what it means. This is third party. That's anybody. Literally anybody is a third party. So third party sites, yeah, it can be used on there. Print materials, in case you did not know, newsletters, they specifically said print materials as well. In-store materials, television, and other broadcast media. I better not see my, like, are you serious? On TV, you're like, is that to me? Like, what? And you just have no idea it's happening. Like, the good thing is your content is great and is on point. So they won't. I know I'm giving Love Fresh Paint a headache. She's like, I don't even want to. I signed this agreement and I never wanted to look at it again. But I'll tell you, it's just. I'm glad you've learned. Lesson has been learned because these are just crazy. For its marketing and or its advertisement. So like, look, they're using, at the end of the day, they want to use they're not using your content because it's like, oh, it's cute, they love it. They're using it because it's potential money maker for them. They want people to see it and they want people to want to purchase their product. So that's advertising, that's marketing, that's how it works. But it's even better because you're creating it, their audience, and their audience is like your audience is what who they're trying to reach. So why not? It's like even better. Like that's why when I talk about knowing your worth, like this is even better than a commercial on TV or a magazine because they're putting it on specific sites, specific channels and like magazines and stuff for people to that people that purchase that are their targeted audience. But here it's even better because like it's clear. There are people who literally follow, like for us, when I say commercial, like I'm like, oh, walking away, trying to fast forward it and all these things. But like, whenever it's you, it just feels like an influencer, it feels more natural and stuff. So they're getting it's like so much better than the advertising on TV and stuff like that because it's like really direct and like word of mouth, like for however long it's been such a powerful way to advertise and to market to people. Just like simply if a friend asks you like, hey, I want to I'm looking for this, I'm trying to buy this thing. Let me make sure, sorry, I can't see the rest of the screen. Like I'm looking for this, what do you suggest? And if your friend suggests it, more than likely you're going to buy it. So that's like the next level is like influencer marketing. And then maybe the next 2 levels after that is like an ad on TV. We don't always trust those ads. So Love Fresh Paints, that's all good. I'm informing the masses. So it's important. It's important. Like she gets it. Just know that this is a huge license. Also, last sentence. So NYX may use, reproduce, modify, delete in its entirety, but modify, adapt, create derivative works of your content. So it just even makes it even bigger because they have a lot of control and power what they can do with this content. So you're making the rest of it, you're making some representations, blah, 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 permission to use this and grant these rights. Actually, let me not skip over that because sometimes these are like, I think I put this in a post the other day. Things that you should know about your license agreement. If you didn't check it out, go back to the Instagram post. It was probably like 2-3 days ago over the weekend of like what you should know about what you should know before licensing out your content. And this is important because sometimes you are granting licenses to things you do not actually have the right to grant a license to. Your photo. You didn't take that photo. Like you don't know, like do you actually have the right to grant such a huge license like this, especially because this can be used for commercial usage. This can be used like if somebody's work is put on TV, it wasn't even yours and you're like, oh, I granted that license. You don't, like there's more situations where you can get yourself in like trouble. So that's why it's really important to understand, to like know your personal rights, like what you are allowed to do with content. If you create the content, then like you create the content. But it's different. I know there are people that have like, help with their captions. They have copywriters and stuff like that who help them with them. There people get help with their blog posts. They're, photographers, just even editing, people who help you edit, things like that. Like you just need to know and be aware of like what rights you actually have. So I know sometimes you use like your friends to help you and stuff like that. So you may not have a contract together. But like things change. Like when it's just you using it, that's different. But whenever it's like Target using it, when it's NYX using it and things like that, the conversation just gets a little different. So it's important to have those contracts together too, get a good contract template to help you with that. I do not provide those type of contract templates, not for like development and stuff like that. There's just so many out there. So get some of those. Let's see, what else? Liability, personal information, and quick abuse and disclosure of personal information. I don't know if there's a personal information in here for this content, but that's fine. Shared and maybe shared the personal information you agree to collect, use, disclose, transfer, process information accordingly. Okay, so I just wanted to read that real quick. Like, also, you're, by the way, in there, you're agreeing to, like, on this bottom things, you're agreeing to, like, some permission terms, their privacy policy, and applicable data protection laws and regulations. Like, you're agreeing to some other documents, too, that's not in here, and it's your responsibility to go look those up or to ask them for it to make sure you can actually comply with those. But I was going to say, I wanted to look on here because I couldn't remember, but this is why this is specifically bad. And I don't know if the rest of them, at Love Fresh Pay, you can tell me if Target had this in there. This doesn't say anything about what you're getting. Like, nothing at all. Like, at least some of them, like, there's another one that I pulled up. I won't go through it all the way. But it's like Milkbone was one of them. Who uses Milkbone? Again, I don't get any sponsorship or anything from these people. But Milkbone, this is specifically for educational purpose. Okay, this is not legal. I should give you a disclaimer. It's not legal advice. This is just for educational purposes, and I have no connection with any of these companies. Well, obviously, I've gotten, you know, a message from them, but well, for Thea. So, but not anything specifically. So, Milkbaiden's one of them, but they at least said, look, this is like the provision I'm looking for right here. So, this one says, while we generally give you credit for your content and sometimes provide a link back to your content or account, you agree that such credit and link is not mandatory, and your permission for use of your content is not contingent upon such credit being given. You represent more that you own all aspects of the content. So, this is why, like, this is words that mean nothing because they don't have to do any, they just said they don't have to give you any credit. But at least they said that. At least, you know, like, generally they're may give you credit. Like, they don't even mention anything about credit on NYX. Like, this was the first time I was introduced to contracts like this. And so I looked at this and I was like, wait, what? Like, so this is a promise to a maybe? Like, I don't even know. But yeah, it was like, I was shocked that this said that. I was like, wait, so you don't even have to give me credit for it? This is one of the big things I was like, at least let me negotiate this part of it because that just doesn't make sense. And then some things in the license. Their license was a little bit better. Agree, and non-exclusive, non-revocable. I mean, that's commercial right. Reproduce, display, and other ways use of content on our website, social media channels, and determine you agree to grant the content. Blah, 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 by James Smucker. This is a little more limited because James Smucker, yes, it's a big company, but I at least knew who it was. Love Fresh Ring doesn't remember right now anything like that, but I may be wrong. So yeah, because there's just like so many of these contracts. Like some of them have it, some of it don't. It doesn't, even if it doesn't have it, or if it does have it, it probably says something like this where it doesn't really mean anything anyway. But just out of curiosity, what they lean more towards. Because this one said nothing about like getting what's the word? Oh, the mouse is not working. Credit. I don't know why I can't think of it. Giving credit for it. But because, the reason I say that is because a lot of times that's why influencers are wanting to, why they're wanting to agree to this in the first place is because they want to get credit and the reason I say that is because that's something, you know, when I talked about why I negotiate or how I negotiate for my clients, it's like I make sure to find out what's important to them. So if they're in that space where they're like, you know, the one client, like the one bigger client that I work with, like she's like, I'm not doing anything gifted. I don't even want to do it. I really don't even want the product. I don't even want, like, I'm not even going to try to play with them like I may tease it in the story or do an open box. And like, that's just totally up to her. But I understand that. That's like something that's like very important to her, but to be like, I'm not working for free. And, you know, she, you know, worked to maybe be at that level. A little hard in the influencer world because I know people they like to see their, you know, little tease of their stuff. Sometimes it helps them negotiate. But whatever. But I know a lot of people, they do the free stuff to get like at least the credit and the recognition. They can use it on their media kit, but also just kind of so people can follow them and they can get followers from that. I don't know, guys. They just don't, like, I've heard people, sometimes they do actually give you credit. So that's nice, but like they have no obligation to do so. And so if the main reason you're agreeing to something so large and so big and like they literally, just don't even have any obligation to ever post it or to say that it's yours. They can just pretend like it's theirs. Like, I don't know, how great, like you have to it's just a way of the pros and cons. Okay. That's just what it is. The reason I say I don't know if this is really a true agreement. One, because it's like, are you really signing anything? It's like you're putting yes NYX. That's not like really your signature, but that's, you know, a weaker argument. If you were like in court, like I wouldn't necessarily depend on that one. But another one is just because you get nothing out of it. And so like usually for an agreement, there needs to be, it like needs to be mutually, not usually, for an agreement, there needs to be like, it needs to be like mutually beneficial for the parties. There needs to be consideration is what the word you'll typically hear, consideration. And so like a court won't argue if like the consideration is actually valuable, or not argue. They won't decide or look into if the consideration is actually valuable for the situation. That's why when you hear some people, they're like, give me, you know, make this agreement legitimate, give me $1 or something like that. The court won't necessarily be like, it was $1 enough to like really, for this to be worth it. Like there was consideration there, so they'll probably just take it for what it is. Because, you know, some things are just meant valuable. So for like, valuable to the person. So for like something like this, and like if it did say like it would give you credit, like like this is a freaking broad license, and for me I'd be like, the credit is not enough for this broad of license. If you maybe for them to like, they could just, there can make some few changes and it may be like, it would maybe enough, like it's just for NYX and just maybe this specific picture and like use on social media, like there can be some changes in there to make this a little better, where credit would be okay. But like a court's not going to say like, its credit wasn't enough. No. If it said something about credit, there'd be consideration, mutually beneficial to both parties. But here, it's just like, I'm like looking around, I'm trying to make an argument for something like, where would the court be like, this is like, there is consideration. Like where? Like it doesn't say, like there's nothing about what you're getting. Like you're getting nothing. You're just giving them the license. You're granting, you're representing and warranting all these things. You're like, you're releasing them from things. You're consenting to things. I'm like, there's nothing for you. So that's why I have I have a thought of like, this may not, like, if worst case scenario, if this comes up, you know, this may not hold up in court. But the reason you don't know if it holds up in court, because nobody's taking this to court. Like, so that's probably why they're okay with this. If they give this to a lawyer, we'd probably say like to put something in there. Love frustrating. Funny. Target specifically says no compensation to you, so they're not even trying to mess around. They're not trying to play. And then you grant them the right to use the name of the creator, but they have no obligation to use it. So they're like, we're not even messing around. Like you get no compensation. And I'm like, that like right there kind of cancels out why it's an agreement. So I'm sure there's like a little mini debate that could go on about this with lawyers, and if they did have a lawyer draft this, which I would be interested to know. I clearly have not been on, when I was working for companies, I clearly did not draft one of these. I think I told y'all last time I've drafted like the terms of use, the privacy policies, you know, those copyright notifications, like those things you usually typically see, if you can see my page, but like you see at the bottom, typically like these things like that, terms of use and stuff like that. I've drafted a lot of those, so I know a lot of the, that's why I don't necessarily feel as obligated to read all of them, because I'm like, I've drafted a lot of them. I know typically what they say, some of them, and then typically when they say something like out of the ordinary, it's just like, there's so many articles and conversations about it, and like at least in the legal sphere, so like that's why I'm like, I haven't read Instagram, but I will, it's my homework. Yeah, that's why. But like, I've never drafted one of these before, so I'm just, and this is a terms of service, so y'all probably looking at me like, this clearly is a terms of service, but it's not like a true terms of service, of like a website terms of service. But yeah, so I would just be very interested to hear, but this is not legal advice. Please don't go file your lawsuits today. Okay, and don't say Stephanie said, because this is not legal advice to you. This is not to help you with your litigation. You paid me nothing. I'm not your attorney. We're not going to court together. I would not take on NYX on this one. It's just like, is it like really worth it? Like maybe, you know, obviously, especially for Love Fresh Paint, like, you know, now I think now she sees the reason why I'm not granting this, because like, paid, like it's not just that they're using it on Pinterest on social media, but that it was like a sponsored post on Pinterest, and then like an email campaign. Like these are things where like clearly, and they know this too, and they clearly took advantage of the situation where like, you know, they should have to pay for that. If they were taking that photo, they would have to get a photographer. They would have to get like a model. I know Love Fresh Paint doesn't now, but it's still a hand model or something like that. Like they would have to like spend a lot of money. So they're just like, you're just taking advantage of the situation. Wave Bossa, I hope you're able to get your internet connection. If not, just watch the stream after we're done. But I just saw the comment again with the time to call Spectrum. You're like, might literally, I think Wave Bossa literally might be calling Spectrum at the moment. So just hope you're doing okay over there, not pulling out your hair. So there's something I want to take, like, just kind of walk all through, and then same thing with like Milk Bones, similar, just kind of broad license. So when you get those, pause, just take a pause on this and like really just, you know, think about it. Like think about like, is it worth it? It's a pros and con list. And if it's worth it to you, like I'm not judging you if I see it. I'm not like, it's just up to you, but I want you to be informed and I want you to be like aware of what you're agreeing to, so that like you just understand the circumstances and you made the decision that was best for you and your brand. It's awesome that you can say like your content was used by like Target, NYX and stuff like that. It's awesome. These are huge brands. These are goals brands. It's cool. And you know, this is also potentially like, you know, they like your work. So, but if they left the comment on there, they may like your work anyway. So maybe you can, you know, you don't necessarily have to give them this large thing, but and large license, but then you can make sure to use that piece of content, the insights from that, or like just, you know, the content generally. And when you're talking with, like, that's like an example you can use of like the work of the quality of work you can do, and like hopefully it was engaged with, or really good numbers on it, so you can use the insights on that, and like you already know that they like the look is what the brand likes, so like, you know, you would be happy to recreate something like this again, and for them, that they can actually get a license to use. So just something to take into consideration before you get super excited about those comments. It's just like, there's so many brands that use them, and I think they see other companies use them and they're like, oh, that's a good idea, and then they just probably copy and paste it or something like that and get the same thing. So that's something to just, you know, keep an eye out on. But yeah, that was good. That was a course. I like that. Hope y'all like that too. I hope that was helpful for you all. Okay,